All right, guys, another busy day as I head out. I have a few things to do, but I want to say something. So, the other night, this just melted my heart, guys. I just got a gift sent to me. The other night, this mama needed diapers right away for her baby. So I went the extra mile. I got her diapers, wipes, um, baby food. So I think it was bananas, squash, applesauce, and something else, like the two-pack packages. You know, there is a gap where women cannot get to a pregnancy center or they can't get the resources right away. So I'm like, why would anybody, any good person, leave somebody without, their basic needs being met? Um, so I was like, okay, I'm going to pick this stuff up. And I dropped off a bag of stuff at her home. I said, I'll see what I can do. I didn't say it was my personal money, but obviously a Walmart bag and everything it was. So, so she sent me a picture that said, "My son thanks you," with a huge smile, eating it looked like his squash or bananas. Cute little baby. This little guy is a sweetie. So I met them at the pool. I met this little cutie, and we talked about a lot of mother stuff. You know how we both nursed. Like I nursed my last one up until what, like 15 months. A lot of moms do that now, right? And this little cutie is a little chubby wubby cutie, is just a doll. So this is the reward, ladies. Many times when you help other moms, you also are rewarded. And not that you're looking for a reward, you're just doing it because it's the right thing to do. So I had already said, let me know when next week is good for you, and we will get you a ride over there. So this is how my nonprofit is starting. By me, I'm going to be reaching out, giving, a ride and making sure she has all the resources needed to help her. Still, we need more resources. We need to fill in the gaps. We need a lot more help for women. This particular mom has 6 kids. And my family was in the projects with 10 kids. They had 10. And was there any one of them who should not have lived? Absolutely not. I had a great Aunt Kim who invested in me as I grew up, especially in my teen years. And then I had an Uncle Bill, who was an amazing uncle who spent time with us constantly. He was Mr. Fun. And, we went sledding, we went haunted houses, all kinds of stuff. My Uncle Bill was my favorite, one of my favorite people in my life. Was there one that should have not made it? No. I mean, my grandmother at one point had one of the youngest one living with one of the relatives in order to make it because she couldn't take care of him. So he had to go live with relatives. And I think that's what a lot of people did back then. If you couldn't take care of your kids, the relatives would take them in. So, was there any that should not have been born? Absolutely not. Every single one of my aunts and uncles have value and are worth it. And a lot of people will be like, well, abortion's better because, they don't belong in a foster care system. Well, my mom was in an orphanage for a short time. And if I didn't have my mom in my life in many ways, I wouldn't be who I am today. People will say, oh, if you can't afford kids, like my mother-in-law is like, if you can't afford kids, don't have them. Okay, well, first of all, you have to define afford because my husband was working full time plus overtime. And just because we lived in a trailer doesn't mean that you can't afford to have kids. So we chose to live that way so that I could turn things around and homeschool. And this is a big part of my business too, is turning things around and bettering other people's lives with better systems. Did I have a home that was disgusting? Did I have a home that was, we had a small space, but things were taken care of. My kids had, their organized bins. We had chores. We had, 3 meals on the table, dinner at 5 o'clock. My husband and I had family time with our kids at night. We had, there was no disgusting like home that was dirty and gross and neglectful. So just because you have a small home doesn't mean that you need to be neglectful. Wherever you live, if you're willing to do the work, you can make any home a home of beauty. My kids had a big yard. We lived in one of the nicer trailer parks in the whole city. We had a very nice trailer park. We had, we had taken care of stuff. I taught my boys to clean, pick up after themselves. I mean, not always did they pick up after themselves, but pretty much we had a very nice life on a very small income. Plus, I had taken all the help, not all the help I could have, and I encouraged this mom too. I said, I could have taken much more help. But back in that day, people thought differently and were like, "Oh, look at you. You have WIC. It must be nice." So I'd get shamed sometimes at the grocery store for having WIC, which was just like, I didn't even take the formula because I was nursing, but like peanut butter, carrots, milk, eggs, the basics, right? I would get shamed for that. And I had an older lady who was my mentor who said, "Melissa, don't pay them any attention. They don't even deserve an answer." So they didn't. But you had this mentality, even in family, where why don't you do it all yourself? Why, well, because life is not perfect. My husband's company, they didn't really pay well. My husband felt like was, he carried the load. He was doing the best he could with a very low income, working more than 40 hours a week. My husband was a very good worker, and they took advantage of that quite a bit. So there were many times that there was there was low pay when he should have been paid more. But we made it. We made it. And my main job was being a wife and a mother. So, and yes, I did work on the side, but why am I going to go have a career and leave my kids in daycare, right? It doesn't make sense. And why would I not have kids? Kids are a blessing. It is something that is natural in life and it's God given. And, Jesus even says, "Let the little children come to me." So, children are a huge gift in life, and you should have as many kids as you can. You really should. There's only a short time. I cannot have kids right now, but there's a short time to have kids. And just because there's problems or issues, which even in families who have money, there's problems and issues, doesn't justify the killing of babies, nor does it justify not having kids. So whether you're rich or not, people think, "Oh, well, if I just don't have kids, I'm going to have money." That's not true. You have one health problem and you can cost more than 5 kids. You have one stroke in the hospital, your whole life savings is gone. When you could have had 5 kids, like we didn't really cost us anything, and come out ahead of the game, right? So me and my husband were coming out ahead of the game, and then he left. He left, and I'm still coming out ahead of the game. So kids are not the problem, is what I'm trying to say. Kids are a wonderful blessing in life. Kids are not the problem. The problem is the problem, and trying to figure out how to solve a particular problem, whether it's money, whether it's health, whether it's family issues, whatever the problem is, that's the problem. So don't blame it on kids. So that's what I got for now, guys. And this little cutie is worth millions. He's worth $1 million. It's not his fault that people think, "Oh, he should be aborted." You know what I mean? People think, they blame it on little babies, which is disgusting, thinking that it's the kid's fault, so they deserve an abortion. Not true at all, guys.